Um, Thanks, Thaddeus, for that presentation. Yesterday we left some part here which we didn't complete with. I would request you to open your project if you are working with me so that we can go ahead to continue with it so that we can finish it. Can you hear my voice? If you can hear my voice, please type a 1 in the chat box. Oh, my voice is not clear. How about here? Is it a bit better? Okay. I'll try to speak louder. Please, we'll have a simple break of about 5 minutes as you digest the content you just learned, and as you're also opening your project of where we ended yesterday in creating this this one side of this button. We implemented it in such a way that when you type in the name here and the student number, selecting the experience and agreeing to the terms and conditions, you join, the data appears over here. So I request you to be opening your projects, and we shall start in the next 4 minutes. I'm not speaking right now. I'm waiting for you to open your projects. Can you hear me speak, or my voice is still low? I think it's what's the problem? The setting up is still the same, like the one you use every day. Is it clear now? Okay, okay, all right, that's cool. If you've opened your project, you can also let me know so that we can just get started right away. If you're ready for us to start our still not. You can't hear me, please? Um, Let me check that one. Oh, no. This is a speaker. Okay. How about here? Can you hear me clearly now? The voice is more clear, right? And louder, right? Yeah. Okay, that's good. So if you have your project ready and you think we can get started, you can also let me know so that we can jump right in. Okay. Did we start? You're ready to start, you can let me know. Or if you're not ready, you can send a 2 in the chat box. If you're not ready to start, you can send a 2 in the chat box. If you're not ready. Okay, it seems you're all ready. All right. So let's get started right now. In here we had our picture over here, and we are done a lot of work on it. Again, this is the last implementation of this is the last part of the implementation for task 3. Yesterday what we did was to implement part of task 3. We implemented one side of it, implemented the join button. When the user clicks the join button, we go ahead to have this activity, input the data, And then when you click join after importing this data, that data is put right here. As you can see here, the name is money, not money, money. And then the student number, and that data comes right over here. And now we had left out this other part because of time, whereby when you click the invite email, invite by SMS, invite by call, you want to open these other implicit intents, to open these apps to help us to send this information and also make this call. Now, today we are not going to be looking at this side of the join workshop. We shall concentrate on the invite workshop. I'll first take this one away for now, and I'll go ahead to open that layout so that we can have a look at it. The invite friend layout. This is how it looks like. It has these buttons. I think we're not going to do anything here. I'm just showing us how what is its current condition, how it looks like currently. We're going to be putting much concentration in the invite friend activity. Currently, when you click on any of the buttons over here, as you can see these buttons, when you go to the invite friend activity and click any of these buttons, one is invite friend, invite by email, invite by SMS, and invite by call, they simply open this implicit intent, and they open it with an action of view with their corresponding data streams. We're not actually specifying any other content apart from opening that view, which can help us to send an email, send an SMS, or make a call. So what we want to do today is first of all to ensure that the user has inputted the data here, because we want to use the data. We want to ensure that the user has inputted data here, not having spaces here and you clicking invite by email and just opens that intent. We don't want that to happen. And you realize that if this app was a production app, we wouldn't like that. Since you want to invite the friend to join the workshop by call, mere entering the call here, you can go away with that by clicking the invite call button. No, we wouldn't want that to happen. In a production ready app, we would like a user, if we present them with this kind of activity, we would like them to enter all this data, because this app of ours is not using any database. But if it were a real world production app, we would have a database. So we need all this data so that it can be backed up in our database. So regardless of whether they only want to make a call, which necessitates the use of only a contact, we would like for them to enter all the data. So we would like to be able to check if they have entered all the data in all of these methods. However, that would be very painful if you have to go ahead to do all this stuff in any of these methods. What we'll do instead is to create another method, and the method will do the checking for us. Will do the checking for us of all of these fields, and then that method will be called in each of these so that we can be sure that the data has been entered. That method, we shall name it, let's say we name it validate. We can be coding together if you're following. We can name that method validate input. This is how we shall call it. It's red because we don't have that method yet. And what we want this method to return, we want it to return, let's say, a list of strings. We want it to return a list of strings, and that list of strings, we can name it valid data. So we want this method to return a list of strings, and the strings be valid data. Now those strings we expect, when you look at these fields, we have 3 of them. So we would expect at least 3 strings to be returned, right? And in the email, when we are sending an email, as you can click here and see, when you're sending an email, we shall need the 2. So that's the email. That's the email that will be entered over here. That's the email that will be entered over here. And we shall also need the content. In that folder for this task, we had all this content there. So I'll go ahead to just copy it when the time comes. For an email, we need particularly the name, and I think the content is not so useful, but we can get all that data in there. However, what we shall do is to check if the valid data is empty. Valid data dot is empty. It will mean that this function has not returned any. It means that this validate validate input function does not return anything to us, so we shall simply return. We shall not do anything over here. Now, if it is not empty, we shall continue to get the information it has. We expect it to have a string of name, and we shall hope that the name is passed as the value in index 0, and we shall also go ahead to check its contact, the contact data, and we hope that the contact is passed as data at index 1, and we shall also need the email address of the friend we want to invite, and we hope that that email is at index 2. Now, having this one in place, let us first go ahead to create this function real quick, this method. We shall create it down here, and we want it to be, of course, we are going to be using it inside here, so we can make it private, and we give it it's suppose when you see here we are returning a list of strings, right? So we hope for it to also return a list of strings. So let us give it a body. Now, I usually like making use of what I've already done to get what I don't have yet. Let us first create the list of strings that we shall return, and that's, we are gonna give it a name, valid data, and shall say it is a new array list. It's a new array list, and it is of type string. Down here we can return valid data. We have not yet made any checks, but we are gonna make those ones real quick in a very short time. Now realize that inside here you can see this picture, I know, right? You can see my AVD, right? Can you see my AVD, please? All right. Now you realize that these are all text views, and when you check this other side of the join workshop, we also had a text view. So meaning that we have already done checks for text views. What we can do is to simply come and copy where we did those checks. We did them in join workshop, and we can come and copy one of these and make use of them. We can copy this one. Actually, we can copy, okay, one will be enough. We can copy this, and then we shall replicate it to use it in the other places. So to begin with, we can get the inputted name, and now the ID is again, to remind you a little, we change that ID to something like when you check inside here for the name part, we change the IDs to the name. We change the IDs to ID name invite. We have that invite word at the end, appended at the end. So we shall simply go ahead to specify those IDs here. Instead of the original IDs, we change this one to ID name, right? So the rest is simply the same, and in case here we okay, all right, here we shall return valid data, and it will be empty. So when we go up here and we call that function when there is no that name entered, we shall simply return after showing this toast over here. Here is supposed to have a return statement. Actually, we don't have to. Okay, we can have that one there. Now we are going to repeat this for the contact. You can copy this and paste it down here and say get inputted contact, and then say change this one to contact in text view, and then say this one is contact. Now this one is supposed to be ID. I think it's ID contact invite. This is it. The rest will remain the same. Return valid data, And then we can also go ahead to get the email, which is simply the same as this: get inputted email. And change this one to email, and then name this one email. Okay, I think we are forgetting something here. We are forgetting to change this variable there. Change this one to this. That's difference on the same. And now this ID is ID email. ID email, right? Well and good. I also have to change this message. Please enter name, please enter contact. Please enter email. This one is also good. You have it in position. And now if all this data is entered, then we shall go ahead to return the data. So we shall say return valid data. How are we going to return valid data? We shall say valid data dot add. Now we shall be adding in. Now at index 0 we said we are adding in. At index 0 we said we are adding in the name, and index 1 we are adding in the contact. So here we shall add name. At index 1 we shall add the contact, and at index 2012 at index 2 we shall add the email. Now if this is done, we shall go ahead to return this valid data. Now we are supposed to make use of it. Let us begin with the email, invite by email. When you're inviting by email here, we first of all had our message. Let us first go and pick that message from our coding challenge 3. We had the invitation message over here. I'm going to copy it. This is the invitation message. It has a body and a subject. I'm going to copy both of them, and I'll put them up here. I think I put them here. I say subject is a string. Subject is a string equals to invitation to the Android workshop, and body is also a string. Now if we have gotten this name from here, we shall simply append it to this string. How do we append it? We shall say hey, and then put a comma and a space, and then append this name. You can remove this. Oh, okay, it is hey, and then after hey you have the name, and then you have this comma over here. Comma. The comma is actually, you can delete this one and say hey space name comma space, come and join the Android workshop. By the way, it is free online. Delete this. This one is red. You can close this one here and add, and then close this one here, create an open one here. So this one is missing a plus. Okay, so we have our subject and body in place. We are setting up this. We're setting up this email intent. Now we opened it using an action view. Now we can put in some extras over here. For example, intent put extra. We can put in some extras. For example, intent dot extra email, the email to which we want to send to this message, and that's none other than what our user has inputted in as the email. After that, we can also, now another thing what I want to tell you about is that you cannot just pass this email here as an email. Usually when you put any extra, intent.put extra, an email, we usually expect to have an array of addresses. it's usually more than one address. So if you just pass it like that as a string, it's most likely not going to work. So what I will do is instead create an array and I put in this one email. So meaning that you can actually send this message to more than one email address by creating this array and then adding in another email here, another email like that, like that. But now, since I only have one email, I'll create that string array addresses and I'll put in that my one email and then pass it over here. Now I can also go ahead to put another extra. That other extra will be the subject extra subject, the subject of my email, and that is exactly what I have put here. Put it over here, and then I'll also go ahead to put another extra. Now that's the body of my email, and then to put extra text. It's not called body, it's called text over here, though we know it as a body. And then we shall, after that, after putting all this information, and now recently we did something that that I was telling you about, that sometimes you may want to create this intent, yet on the user's phone there is no app which can handle this intent. So in that case, Android is very unforgiving. It won't send any message, however it will just crash your app. So to ensure that our app doesn't crash, to provide a bad user experience, we can first go ahead to check if there is an activity that can handle our intent by saying that intent.resolve activity, passing in the getting the package manager and checking if this is not null. If this is not null, it means that indeed there is an app that can handle our intent. After this check is successful, we shall go ahead to create this activity. Now, in case there is no such app to handle your intent, you can go ahead here to create an else and issue a toast to tell your user that there's no app on your phone that can handle this intent. I won't do that because but you can do that one to see how it really works. So you can run this up to see if we can have our email running. And now that one, as it's building, I'll go ahead to do something very similar to the email, invite by SMS. I'll copy all of this. I need it. Actually, I don't need the contact here. Copy this and scroll down here to invite by SMS. Let me first open this and see, can we invite by email really? Now, this time around, if you try to click this one, it tells you enter name, and you enter name, see me, and then if it tells you the contact, okay, before you enter the contact, you can try to see if you can jump that. It will tell you, oh, you can actually jump that. Even if this one is working like this, realize that we didn't want that to happen. We want, if you do not have the contact in there, oh, we have not yet done for, oh, let me check that. If contact is 0, please enter contact. Here we did not change this one to the contact edit text, so that's why. And also this one also needs that change. We had maintained the same for the name. That's why we had that problem. We can run that one again. And as it's building, we can also build the one for SMS so that we can test them all together. Now, in case this one is empty, we shall also return. Now, to send an email, we need at least 2 fields. We need the name and the contact. The contact is not useful here, actually. The contact is not useful here. But anyway, let's copy these two. We can remove this one, it's not useful here. And then bring them down here. Name and contact, they are 0 and 1. So we're going to use the contact. The body is actually still the same. So we shall copy this body over here and bring it down here. Hey, name, come and join the Android workshop. That and that, by the way, it's fully online. And now we are creating this intent SMS. Now, to be able to send an SMS to a particular contact, you simply add here a contact. So when you send this SMS intent, it will open with a contact there where we want to send that SMS. We can also put another extra, which is the message we want to send using the SMS, which is intended to put extra. Now for the SMS, we use a string to pass that extra, which is SMS body. And then we shall simply put in our body over here. Now we shall go ahead to check if there is an app that can handle our intent. If there is one, then we start the activity. If there isn't, we shall offer our user with a toast, which I'm not going to offer here, but I would advise you to offer it in case you are developing an app which other users are going to use, because they may not know what is happening. Now we shall also, let us do this for call invite as well so that we can finish it once and all. Let's come down here to call invite and do this. Now to invite a user by call, we are only interested in the contact. So we shall get the contact. And now after getting the contact, we shall simply add it over here, contacts. And then after that, we shall also check if the intent that can, of course, on any phone, we shall have an app to make calls. But anyway, we can have this one there as a safe mechanism. So when you build this one and run again, let's see how that one comes out. Installing. Okay, so we have our app here, invite friend. When you try to invite by email or invite by call, invite by SMS, or request you for a name, put here Simi. And then if you try to click again, invite by email, it tells you enter contact. I don't know how contact go. I'll put that one. And then if you try to invite again by email or any of these, oh, it's still telling you to enter email. Okay, it's telling you to enter email. All right, that's fine. And then you can put here email at. Another thing is you can also specify the input type there so that we can have uh, input options that are specific to entering emails, but we shall not go into that detail. I think we had done an example about changing the alphanumeric keyboard to a numeric keyboard. You can follow the same method to achieve that. So you can have your email at email.com. Now, if you click invite by email, we have here, okay. I think there is that problem here. This one's supposed to appear as an email. However, you see that we have invitation to the Android workshop as the subject, and we have this body here. Hey, name, come and join the Android workshop scheduled October that to that. By the way, it's fully online. Now, I think we had made a mistake over here when we are returning the email. Let me check that. Why is it? Okay, let me try to change this email over here. Let me see if I change the name. Another name. If I change the name, does it come as the email? Oh, actually, no problem, no problem, no problem. I think that one was simply, it was simply stuck somewhere. Let's put this one back. This is fine. And now if you try to invite by SMS, it will also open the SMS app, and then that message will be over there, and the contact to which we are sending the message will also be available as you have entered it. And then when we invite by call, again, the call to which you want to make this call will also be available. All right, so this was the remaining part for the challenge of task 3, and we have fully finished it. If you have a question about it, you can ask it right away. If you don't have a question about it, I'll give you 2 minutes to chill a bit and also digest this content. After that, we shall go right into task 4, which is also very short. We shall finish it in a very short period of time, and we shall close our session for today. What I did was, remember I told you as you are preparing the questions asked from me to ask to me, I'll show you something over here. Remember yesterday I told you that we had named these ones poorly. So what I did was I created a new project, and I replicated all of this in that new project with proper naming. Since we have finished with this and we have it working properly, I'll close this project, open the other project which has this one properly named, and on top of that, I will implement task 4. I'll leave this one for a while, 1 minute, as I wait for your questions if you have any. After 1 minute, I'll close it and open the other one. Okay, since there are no questions on that, I'll simply close this one. And we have this one. I named this one properly. Everything which is an activity, it has activity at the end. And now I changed this other object to just attendant. Originally it was attendance helper. Now I named it attendant. And I made actually all the code is the same. It's simply changing the naming of this, and also I think that was all that. I didn't change anything else. When you run this app, you realize it still has the same functionality as the app we had just been running. Let's first run that one real quick, and you see that we can begin on the same page. This is the solution you'll find on our GitHub at the end of today. I advise you, if you are to make reference on this. If I can also make reference from the other one which was of live coding, no problem at all. So when you open this app, and okay, you may say that how is it different from the other one? Let us first uninstall this one and just install the app afresh. This is the app, and then when you click invite friend, invite by email, to tell you enter name Simon, and then enter contact. It opens this numeric keyboard. Enter email. If you didn't enter the contact over here, and you try to invite by email or invite by call or invite by SMS, to tell you to enter the contact. Until you enter the contact. And also if you try again to invite by call or any of these, will tell you to enter the email at email.com. And then if you now invite by email, it opens that beautiful email with that content over there. So all the others are still the same, nothing really changed. So we shall go right into our coding challenge 4. This is coding challenge 4. As usual, I like to, let me first close this one.